The art of cultivating happiness. What if happiness isn't something you find, but something you cultivate, like a garden? The ancient Buddhists had a word for this, bavana. It literally means to call forth, or to become. And here's the truth that could completely transform your life. Happiness is an art that can be practiced, not just a state you luck into. For years, I thought some people were just born lucky, destined to be happy while the rest of us struggled. I placed myself firmly in the not-so-lucky category. But then I discovered something that changed everything. Happiness isn't random. It's a skill. Science has finally caught up to what the Buddha knew 2,600 years ago. Our attention shapes our reality. And where we place that attention determines whether we suffer or thrive. Let me tell you a story that perfectly captures this. During the pandemic, a Buddhist nun was walking along a river in the foothills of the Alps. She passed an orchard where farmers had pruned all the trees except one old, dead tree. Its trunk was hollow, split down the middle. You could literally see through it. She wondered why they hadn't removed this eyesore. Months later, when spring arrived, she returned to find something remarkable. That dead tree was covered in cherry blossoms. Delicate pink flowers were emerging from the black bark. She stopped in her tracks, completely stunned. In that moment, she understood something profound. Healing is possible. Joy is possible. Even in our darkest moments, the blossoms can return. But here's the critical part. She almost missed it. If she hadn't stopped and been fully present, this moment of beauty would have existed, but not for her. This brings us to the first key practice for cultivating happiness. Stopping. When was the last time you truly stopped? Not just paused between tasks while checking your phone, but fully stopped to notice what's around you. One of the most powerful techniques for cultivating happiness is keeping a joy diary. Each night before sleep, challenge yourself to write down 3 moments of joy from your day. They don't need to be big. The butterfly that landed on a flower, a kind word from a friend, the first sip of morning coffee. These small moments accumulate into something profound. What's fascinating is what happens when you don't have anything to write. That's your wake-up call. It means you're not noticing the joy that's already there. Many practitioners use what they call a joy checklist, a way to diagnose where their happiness practice needs attention. We're going to explore this checklist, which comes from both ancient wisdom and modern scientific research. The first area to check is mindfulness. Where is your attention directed throughout the day? One Zen master was asked why he practiced meditation. His answer: so that I notice the little flowers along the side of the road. Our minds are hardwired to look for problems. It was crucial for survival in ancient times. But in today's world, this tendency becomes a source of unnecessary suffering. We need to actively train our minds to see what's going well, what's beautiful, what's good enough. Think about how you look at a garden. Do you notice all the flowers in bloom, or just the weeds that need pulling? Most of us immediately catalogue all the tasks and problems instead of appreciating what's already thriving. One practical way to shift this pattern is to find bells of mindfulness in your everyday life. These are regular cues that remind you to come back to the present moment. It could be a train passing every 15 minutes, red traffic lights, or actual bells from a nearby church. A monk who lived in Paris would use red lights as his mindfulness bell. While cycling to work, instead of impatiently waiting to continue, he would stop completely, breathe, and offer a smile to pedestrians crossing the street. There aren't many smiles in big cities, he said, and the people who frown back are the ones who need smiles the most. You can even use simple verses called gathas to transform routine moments into opportunities for joy. When turning on the faucet, water comes from high mountains, water flows deep under the earth, water comes right to us to support all life. My gratitude is vast. These practices aren't just spiritual fluff. They literally rewire your brain to notice joy more frequently. And that's the secret most people miss. Happiness isn't about having different circumstances, it's about having different attention. But there's another crucial component to happiness that our individualistic society often overlooks: community. Humans are a social species, yet loneliness has reached epidemic proportions. At a retreat in Plum Village, a young woman was carrying a bucket when a nun approached and said, "Let's carry that bucket together." The woman replied, "It's okay, I can manage, it's not heavy." The nun smiled and said, "Oh, but it's so much more fun to carry it together." That simple insight carries profound wisdom. Even tasks we can do alone are more joyful when shared. Community isn't always easy. In fact, living in community is like being surrounded by mirrors that reflect parts of yourself you might prefer not to see. But this is precisely how we grow. Like a diverse garden with many different flowers, each person in a community needs different conditions to thrive. Some, like roses, may flourish easily in certain environments, while others, like azaleas, require special care. The essence of community is understanding and compassion. During a silent retreat, a young man shared how he lives in a crowded city yet feels profoundly alone. But during a week of complete silence with strangers, he never felt lonely once because of the deep connection he experienced. This reveals something vital. Belonging comes from presence, not necessarily from words. Another essential source of happiness is our connection to nature. During the pandemic lockdowns, a Buddhist practitioner took daily walks to a common with 700-year-old oak trees. By following the same path every day, she witnessed the full cycle of seasons, from bare winter branches to the first tender spring shoots, to the almost invisible oak flowers, to the formation of tiny acorns that grew larger each day. This intimate relationship with nature became a source of sustainable energy and joy. When we fall in love with the earth this deeply, we're motivated to protect it not from despair, but from profound connection. This is the most sustainable form of environmental activism, one born from love rather than fear. Our bodies have evolved to move and be in nature, yet modern life often keeps us sedentary and indoors. Remember that you don't have to wait until you're in the mood to walk in nature. Get out there first, and the mood will follow. Your body will reward you with endorphins and a sense of aliveness that can't be found on screens. After any physical activity, take a moment to notice how your body feels. This builds body memory that will motivate you next time resistance arises. You are the sovereign of the kingdom of your body. How is your kingdom doing? Now, let's address something counterintuitive: the art of suffering. One of the most profound teachings is that, when we know how to suffer, we suffer less. Most of us try to escape our difficult emotions through distraction: phones, food, internet, work. But this only postpones and often amplifies our pain. Instead, try this revolutionary approach. When strong emotions arise, recognize them. Hello, my suffering. I know you're there. Then, like a mother with her crying baby, embrace the feeling with your presence. Don't push it away or analyze why it's happening. Ask yourself, what am I feeling exactly? Where is it in my body? How does it feel? Sharp, pulsing, tight, cold, hot? Get curious about the sensations. This curiosity acts like a Zen sword, cutting through the cycle of thinking that perpetuates suffering. The questions to avoid are why questions. Why is this happening to me? Why did they do that? These create loops of thinking that can last for years. Instead, stay with the bodily experience and offer it your full presence. I'm here for you. I'm going to take care of you. This practice has two wings: stopping to care for the emotion and looking deeply into its roots when you're ready. It's not intellectual understanding, but applied practice that transforms suffering. There's a story about a man who went to a doctor for his illness. The doctor wrote a prescription, which the man took home and placed on his mantelpiece. Days passed with no improvement. When he returned to the doctor complaining that nothing had changed, the doctor asked what he'd done with the prescription. "I put it on the mantelpiece," the man said. The doctor then told him to eat it. Still nothing changed. Finally, the doctor explained he needed to exchange the prescription for medicine and take the medicine. Similarly, intellectual knowledge about happiness won't help unless we put it into practice. And when we transform our own suffering, we stop transmitting it to others. Our healing becomes healing for our entire community. The final area of the joy checklist is having a path. Scientific research hasn't fully recognized this yet, but having a clear direction, a set of values and practices to guide your life, is one of the greatest sources of happiness. There's a beautiful calligraphy that reads, "Now that I have a path, there is no longer anything to fear." In a world where so many feel lost and directionless, having a clear path forward, even if it's challenging, provides profound relief and purpose. When we bring all these practices together, mindfulness, community, nature connection, skillful handling of suffering, generosity, learning, and following a meaningful path, we cultivate a garden of happiness that can withstand the harsh weather of life. So I leave you with this question: what small practice will you begin today to cultivate your garden of happiness? Because joy isn't something you find by chance. It's something you grow with daily attention. Remember the dead tree covered in cherry blossoms. No matter how hollow you may feel right now, the blossoms can return when you learn the art of cultivation.